We haven't spent a lot of time talking about Kyle Duggar in recent weeks after the Patriots put the transition tag on him. It made him a restricted free agent in a sense by putting that tag on him, a tag he has not signed yet. And Andrew Callahan reports over the weekend that Duggar's not thrilled with getting that tag. Duggar remains dissatisfied with the transition tag, a one-year, $13.2 million placeholder. And as of last week, had not signed it. Callahan suggests that maybe if he's not happy, it's possible the Patriots would trade him. Possibility is the Patriots could trade Duggar if he remains in a situation like this where he's not happy.
Yeah, they're moving Mapu back to safety, I assume.
What an F-up by the team on this player and this contract, given now the context of what they did not do in free agency. Okay? So they had all this money to spend. They had all the cap space in the world and still do, and they couldn't just get a long-term deal done with Kyle Duggar. And if Gerard Mayo's telling the truth, which is the priority was for them to sign their own guys back, then why did they not re-sign Kyle Duggar and get a deal done beyond the transition tag?
Because I think Duggar feels he's worth a lot more than where they feel he's worth. Now, when they talk,
he isn't. The market would have dictated that, so they shouldn't. Now,
so they're like, we feel you're like a $12.5 million player, and we're giving you a raise here by actually tagging you.
They misread the market.
Who
the
did?
Patriots did, and Duggar. They're both wrong.
So there was a tight end from Detroit that was on the transitional tag, and somebody signed him to a 3-year, $12 million deal. Now that Detroit has to match. So if there's a team out there that values him a lot more, go ahead and sign him to ink him to a contract. Make the Patriots match it. It's kind of crickets out there right now. I mean, if there's somebody out there that feels he's a $16 million a year safety or $18 million a year safety, give him a 3-year deal for $48, $50 million with 30 guaranteed. It's that simple.
Be done.
Then be done.
I think if you're Kyle Duggar,
do you match that? Well, real quick, do you match that if you're New England?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. There you go. That's the point. They feel he's more around 12.
He's not a top
13,
5 safety in football.
He's a good player.
He's good.
Really, really freaking good player. I like him.
But he's not Minka Fitzpatrick or even Antoine Winfield.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they get a deal done?
It's not Earl Thomas.
Because I think he might think, I don't know this, I don't know exactly what he's demanding, but if he thinks he's one of those guys, and he just saw Jesse Bates sign for $16 million recently, or Grant Delpit is probably the closer, better example. He signed for 12.
Well, the Patriots are willing to pay him 13 for just next year.
Right. Yeah.
So they've set the floor at 13.2.
Right.
Okay.
Haven't they?
I think he wants a lot more
so
than that.
So then what do you think is holding it up?
Come on.
It takes two to tango.
Yeah.
You don't just give him whatever he wants.
We were in at 12.
I want to know what they've offered.
They were trying to give an extension at around $12.5 million a year. He said, no, not interested. We value more than that. We'll tag you at 13.2 or 0.5, whatever it is. Give you a raise.
So we don't think you're worth 12.5 a year, but we'll offer you 13.2 for next year.
They established
where's
the
the strategy then in that? I would say
it's 13.
I would say the alternative is let him walk. The alternative is don't transition tag him. Let him walk, see what he gets out there. Do what you did. And I didn't say this at the time, so this is sort of revisionist history on my part. I fully admit that, okay? And I'm telling you that up front. Because when they did it, I was like, oh, good. They're making sure they retain the player, they find him to be important, and they're going to hopefully get a longer-term deal done at some point. Now, given the context of knowing they didn't do anything outside of bring back Mike Owenu, and I mean anything of real, substance that's going to change this team in any meaningful way, all they did was fill out their roster in free agency. Why couldn't you have spent more money to get Kyle Duggar done? What's the number? Is it 14? Give him 14. You're already giving him 13. That's what I don't get. Why would you turn him down at 12.5 and then say, but you're worth 13.2 next year?
I don't know if he's
I don't get
for 12
that.
and a
Well,
half.
I'm just going based on what I said. That's all. That's all. I don't get it. I don't get what they're doing.
I think your initial take was the right one.
And if
your initial take is you don't want to let him go,
and if
because
you
don't have many good players,
we value you. We think you're about a $13 million a year player. We're willing to give you the extension. He's not interested, so they tagged him at it.
But if you're interested in locking up your core for the next several years, is what Gerard Mayo told us after they flunked in free agency. Well, then you flunked on this too because you couldn't get a deal done. You couldn't find a path to getting a deal done with Kyle Duggar. Because why? You don't want to pay him? You don't want to pay him long term. I mean, what does this help? How does this help this team if he plays on a $13.2 million tag this year and then is gone? How does that help them? Could you have used the 13.2 that you will spend on Kyle Duggar in 2024 and tacked it onto that Calvin Ridley deal that you came up short on? Could you have done that? Because that would have helped your team in the long term. Kyle Duggar for 1 year and 13.2 doesn't help your team.
Unless you look at it as like that's how we were able to
That's
afford
how I'm looking at
Anthony Jennings. Like we could get both for $18 million.
The issue with Duggar that I think is interesting, he's 28 years old. Okay, so you're talking about, okay, well, what about 2 years from now? Well, 2 years from now all of a sudden he's a 30-year-old safety who's, a big hitter and has to thrive on his athleticism. Okay, you want to invest in that for like 5 years? Is that what you're saying? 4 years?
No, I'm telling you that
he's a unique player in that regard, and I think it probably complicates his contract negotiations. And you're right, the market complicates it too because the league is down on safeties. Nobody wants to pay safeties.
That's a 4-year contract max on Kyle Duggar.
Nobody wants to pay them, though. And so I'm wondering if it's not the player side of things. Hey, this is my one opportunity to get a big deal.
So
I need to strike it rich.
Give him his big deal then.
If he's not an all-pro and you're willing to pay him like an all-pro, I mean, I understand that the Patriots have money and I don't care. But you do have to understand it from their perspective, too. So you just don't draw a line with anybody. Anybody who's halfway decent gets whatever they want because you don't have enough talent on your roster.
Not whatever they want, but if you're going to set that low bar at 13.2, well, you're already in the ballpark, aren't you? How far apart could they be? How much could Kyle Duggar really be asking?
He might
for?
want Jesse Bates $16 million.
I think that's a little too rich, and he should be willing to accept, let's say, 14 or 15.
Okay, I think that's reasonable.
It is,
but this is how negotiations go, and you can come to an impasse.
I'm not going to assume that he's asking for 16.5. I'm not going to do that to him. I just feel like the amount of money that they could be apart can't be so much that it's going to break the Patriots right now, given the situation they're in.
God.
Well, nothing would break them. Nothing
would break them right now.
Better not
so if you're going to tell me it's all about retaining your core and keeping your core guys, well, then keep your core guy, because if he ends up playing here for 1 year and 13.2, you blew it. Then that was pointless. And you could have spent that money on something else that would impact your team in the long term and more than one season for a safety. Because one season doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It doesn't.
Better not take our Wednesday interview away. That's all I know. We need him for the Wednesday interviews.
Electric.
We get a new interview. We'll just get the next guy. David Andrews and
you don't make a big impact in free agency, and then you couldn't even get Kyle Duggar re-signed long-term? What the hell were you doing? What has been going on there? Where are the successes in free agency outside of Micah Wenning?
I wouldn't rule out that they do get something done with him.
I hope they do.
He has to understand what the market is now, too.
I think that's
hope they do.
They're trying to teach him the market. And let's meet in the middle somewhere.
I feel better about their offseason if they could at least get this done.
Get this done. I do find it interesting just how the league looks at that position. Over the cap says
they're not valuable anymore.
Teams across the NFL have saved almost $112 million this offseason alone because of 13 quote-unquote high-level cuts at safety. Includes Justin Simmons, who's still available, Quandre Diggs, Jordan Poyer. There have been a number of guys just flat out released because teams are saying, we can find you.
We can find you somewhere else. But these guys have been neutered, right? The way the league plays is different now. And Kyle Duggar is one of those rare guys that still really sort of delivers a physical element that the sport sort of lacks from the position at times now.
Well, most teams would call him a linebacker.
Yeah, they wouldn't call him a safety anymore.
Him and Peppers are fun to watch.
But they're not one of these split safety, take away half the field safeties, though. And that's the league now.
Yep.
That's what the league's looking for. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, they want more athletic guys who can cover better than the guys who can lay the lumber.
Honestly, like to their defense, are they looking at it from the division like, hey, we're watching the Miami and Buffalo films, and he's struggling in coverage. How can he hit? Yeah, we know he can hit. Everybody in the stadium knows.
That's why I like him.
Yeah.
He's a throwback.
Yeah, he's like, Peppers, let's take your head off.
Yeah.
It's great.
Coverage, sometimes leaves something to be desired.
I love the 15-yard flags. I do. Like, that's like, if you're gonna commit a foul, commit the foul. And these two will commit the foul, which I like. Yeah, one of those ticky-tack. Oh, yeah, it's to the face.
I'm not looking for
automatic
flags.
First down.
I'm not looking for flags.
I'll take it with Peppers. There's one clearing the house sideline hit.
Kyle Duggar has one hit a game. Clean hit a game. I'm not talking about dirty hit. One hit a game that in an age where you can't really hit the way you used to has receivers thinking about going over the middle of the field. And that to me is still a valuable piece. That is to me. A lot of teams don't care for it anymore. This one still does. That's why they have Peppers and Duggar on the roster.
Patriots defense is as close to old school as it gets
Yeah.
between the big linebackers
Yep.
and the hard-hitting safeties. This is an
Hightower
old
being
school
back
unit.
too. Hightower coaching those guys up to play big like that. I think that'll help them in the front.
And I don't hate it, Phil. I don't hate it.
No, you
at all.
shouldn't.
I like it.
You should like it. The results have been pretty good.
Hey, if you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand right here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.